Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All together, please. Om Jnana Timirandasya Ganandana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrijatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padang Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karna Sindhu Jena Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapcha Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavanishwari Rishavana Sudadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Text 26, Chapter 1, Canto 7, chapter entitled, The Supreme Lord is Equal to Everyone. Please repeat. Tasmad Vairanubandena Nivairena Bhayena Va Snehad Kamena Va Yunjat Katachin Nikshite Pritak Tasmad Varanubandena Nivarena Bhayena Va Snehat Kamena Va Yunjat Kathan Chin Nikshate Pritag Tasmad Varanubandena Nivarena Bhayena Va Snehat Kamena Va Yunjat Kathanchin Nikshate Pritag Tasmad Varanubandena Nivarena Bhayena Va Snehat Kamena Va Yunjat Kathachin Nikshate Pritag. Word for word, please repeat. Tasmad, therefore, Vara Anubhandena, by constant enmity. Nivarena, by devotion. Bhayena, by fear. Va, or. Snehat, from affection. Karmena, by lusty desire. Va, or. Yunjat, one should concentrate. Kathanchit, somehow or other. Na, not. Ikshate, sees. Pritak, something else. Translation Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, by enmity or by devotional service, by fear, by affection, or by lusty desire, by all of these or any one of them, If a conditioned soul somehow or other concentrates his mind upon the Lord, the result is the same. For the Lord, because of his blissful position, is never affected by enmity or friendship. Please repeat. Therefore, by enmity or by devotional service, by fear, by affection, or by lusty desire, by all of these, or any one of them, if a conditioned soul somehow or other concentrates his mind upon the Lord, the result is the same. For the Lord, because of his blissful position, is never affected by enmity or friendship. Purport Srila Prabhupada. So it's a long purport, so kindly pay attention. From this verse, one should not conclude that because Krishna is unaffected by favorable prayers or unfavorable blasphemy, one should therefore blaspheme the Supreme Lord. This is not the regulative principle. Bhakti-yoga means anukulyena Krishna shilanam. One should serve Krishna very favorably. This is the real injunction. Here it is said that although an enemy thinks of Krishna unfavorably, the Lord is unaffected by such anti-devotional service. Thus he offers his benediction even to Shishupal and similarly inimical conditioned souls. This does not mean, however, that one should be inimical to the Lord. The stress is given to the favorable execution of devotional service, not purposeful blasphemy of the Lord. It is said, Nindam Bhagavata Shramvans Ta Prasya Janasya Va Tato na Paiti Ya Sopi Yati Ajya Sukra Chutaha. One who hears blasphemy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his devotees should immediately take action and should leave. Otherwise, he will be put into hellish life perpetually. There are many injunctions. Therefore, as a regulative principle, one should not be unfavorable towards the Lord, but always favorably inclined toward him. Shishupal's achievement of oneness with the Supreme Lord was different because Jai and Vijay, from the very beginning of their material existence, were ordained to treat the Supreme Lord as an enemy for 3 lives and then return home back to Godhead. Jai and Vijay inwardly knew that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they purposely became his enemies to be delivered from material life. From the very beginning of their lives, they thought of Lord Krishna as an enemy. And even though blaspheming Lord Krishna, they chanted the holy name of Krishna constantly along with their inimical thoughts. Thus they were purified because of chanting the holy name of Krishna. It is to be understood that even a blasphemer can be freed from sinful activities by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Certainly, therefore, freedom is assured for a devotee who is always favorable to the service of the Lord. This will be clear from the following verse. By rapt attention fixed on Krishna, one is purified, and thus one is delivered from material life. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has very nicely explained the word bhayena, which means by fear. When the gopis went to Krishna in the dead of the night, they certainly feared chastisement by their relatives, their husbands, brothers and fathers, but nonetheless, not caring for their relatives, they went to Krishna. There was certainly fear, but this fear could not check their devotional service to Krishna. One should not mistakenly think that Lord Krishna must be worshipped by an inimical attitude like that of Shishupal. This injunction is anukulyena grahanam pratikulyasya varjanam. One should give up unfavorable activities and accept only favorable conditions in devotional service. Generally, if one blasphemes the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is punished. As the Lord says in Bhagavad-Gita 16:19, Taham dvishato kurran samsareshu naradamam shipyami aksharam ashubhan ashurishu eva yonishu. There are many injunctions. That means that if someone, Prabhupada doesn't give the translation there, but it means that if you are envious and mischievous, then Krishna will put you into many and lower abominable, envious species of life until you sink down into the lowest condition. There are so many injunctions. One should not try to worship Krishna unfavorably. Otherwise, he must be punished, at least for one life, to be purified. As one should not try to be killed by embracing an enemy, a tiger or a snake, one should not blaspheme the Supreme Personality of Godhead and become his enemy, in order to be put into hellish life. The purpose of this verse is to emphasize that even the enemy of the Lord can be delivered, not to speak of his friend. Srila Madhavacharya also says in many ways that one should not blaspheme Lord Vishnu through one's mind, words, or actions, for a blasphemer will go to hellish life along with his forefathers. Karmana manasa vacha yodishyad vishnum avyayam mavyanti pitarastasya nirake shasvati samaha. In Bhagavad-Gita 16:19-20, the Lord says, Tanaham dvisha kuraram samasreshu nibandhanam shipyami aksharam ashubhan asurya eva yonishu asurim yoni apana mudha janmani mam aprapyaiva kunteya tato yanti adamam gatim. Those who are envious and mischievous, here's the translation, it's repeated the verse, who are lowest among men, are cast by me into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life, attaining repeated birth among the species of demoniac life. Such persons can never approach me. Gradually they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. One who blasphemes the Lord is put into a family of asuras, in which there is every chance of forgetting the service of the Lord. Lord Krishna further states in Bhagavad-Gita 9:11-12, Avajanti mamudha manushim thanumasritam parambhavam majananto mamabhuta maheshwaram. Mudhas, rascals, blaspheme the Supreme Lord because he appears exactly like a human being. They do not know the unlimited opulence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mogasya moga karmano moga jnana vichetasah rakshasim asurim chaiva prakritim mohinim sritaha. Anything done by those who have taken the attitude of enemies will be baffled. Mogasya. If these enemies try to be liberated or merge into the existence of Brahman, they can desire to be elevated to the heavenly planetary systems as karmis, or even if they desire to return home back to Godhead, they will certainly be baffled. As for Hiranyakashipu, although he was extremely inimical toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he always thought of his son, who was a great devotee. Therefore, by the grace of his son, Prahlad Maharaj, Hiranyakashipu was also delivered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hiranyakashipu chapi bhagavam nindaya tamaha vivaksho agata suno prahladasya anubhavatah. The conclusion is that one should not give up pure devotional service for one's benefit. One should not imitate Hiranyakashipu or Shishupal. This is not the way to achieve success. Mukam karochi vachalam phangam laite girim yad kripa tamam bande Sri Guru dinatarinam tasmad varanu bhandena nivarena bhayena va snehat karmena va yunjat kathachin nikshite pritak. Therefore, by enmity or by devotional service, by fear, by affection, or by lusty desire, by all of these, or any one of them, if a conditioned soul somehow or other concentrates his mind upon the Lord, the result is the same. For the Lord, because of his blissful position, is never affected by enmity or friendship. Yes, so you see, though the verse here says the result is the same, that should not mean be misunderstood. Prabhupada makes it very clear that we must follow anukulyena krishnasya. We must, that is Rupa Goswami's definition of pure bhakti. It is anukulyena, favorable towards Krishna. Anyabilasita sunyam, no hankering, janma karmadi anavritam, anukulyena krishnana sadbir param bhakti. So that's pure bhakti, to be favorably inclined. However, when it is said here, the result is the same, it means that they will all be purified. But their destination will vary. Ye tamam prapadyante tamstava bhajami aham. Everyone, as they surrender to me, Krishna explains, 4:11 I think in the Gita, I reward accordingly. So according to the way you approach Krishna, you will get a certain result. But all will be purified. We will read later on, I guess, about Shishupal. He entered into the body of the Lord. He gave 100 blasphemies against Krishna at the Rajasuya. Krishna said, okay, have 100 goes. And then he cut off his head. And then within the sight of the assembly, the soul of Shishupal, this is a special case of course, because they're Jai and Vijay, Dantavakra Shishupal, merged into the body of Krishna. He didn't attain pure bhakti. He didn't attain rasa. He was purified by entering the body of Krishna. That is different from attaining bhakti ras in your swarup as Madhurya, Vatsalya, Sakya, and so on. That is a different thing. So he was purified of his material contamination. So this is the case. And the Acharyas explain that merging into the body, there's two types of merging actually. One is to merge into the Brahman effulgence of Krishna, and then there is another to merge into the actual form of Krishna. That form of Krishna is higher. But Acharyas have explained that also the Mayavadis go to the same place as the enemies of Krishna. So the Mayavadis, they don't attain, those that think that the absolute truth is monistic and the goal is to become merged in that and thus become God. Those Mayavadis attain the same destination as the enemies. Sri Gonitai, Sri Guru Parampara, Krishna Bala, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Prabhupada, Krishna Balaram, Gomata, Tulsi Maharani, Lalit Vishaka, Radhasham Sundar, Giri Govardhan, Shalagram Maharaja Ki Jai. So this is an important point. According to how you relate to Krishna, you will get a certain result. But the result will be the same in the sense you'll become purified. But the Acharyas are explaining we don't want to just become purified of our material contamination by merging into the Brahman or the form of Krishna. We want to attain rasa. We want to attain swarup. We want to attain eternal relationship with Krishna, to relate to Krishna in his ecstatic pastimes. That is incalculably better than just becoming merged in a static way. Bhakti, favorable bhakti, gives ecstasy But if you merge into the body or the effulgence of Krishna, you will become static rather than ecstatic. So this division should be understood. Yes, there are different ways of approaching Krishna, favorable and unfavorable. Generally, it is Acharyas divide these forms of approach towards Krishna in different manners. In Jivadharma, chapter 21, Bhaktivinoda Thakur divides it into favorable and unfavorable. He explains that there is Kama Rupa Bhakti, and then Sambandha Rupa Bhakti, and then there's Vaidhi Bhakti. Kama Rupa Bhakti is by lusty desire, but this is not the material lust that we find in the material world. This is an important point here, the science of Godhead. So here, Krishna is being explained as transcendental, as his emotions are not bound by the material modes like we are. It says here in the earlier part of the verse that Krishna is unaffected by praise and blame, but those under the material modes are. It's explained here that Krishna, by his blissful position, is not affected. How to understand that? Just like an elephant. An elephant, if the ants, he's walking through the jungle, maybe happily eating bamboo shoots. Elephants like to do that. And if some ant says, "Oh, look at you, you big fat elephant with a big long nose," is the elephant bothered? It pays no attention. If another ant says, "Oh, look at this heroic elephant, he is so magnificent," is the elephant bothered? If some of the ants make an anthill, and on the side of the anthill they say, "We're all elephants, we're all God," is the elephant affected? All the Mayavadis are saying, "Yes, we're all God." If everyone's God, then there's no meaning to God. If everyone's prime minister, then there's no prime minister. So it's a foolish idea. And then if another anthill, they say, "Oh, we like elephants in this anthill. Please don't knock us down. Please don't trample us into the dust." Then the elephant, is he bothered very much? No, he's busy eating bamboo shoots. So this is a material example. So Krishna, he is Ananta. In the Brahma Sutras, Vedanta Sutra, that is the third sloka. At the beginning it says, "Atato Brahma Jignas," now you should inquire into the nature of the Supreme. And then it says, "Janmadi Ashyata," Krishna, the absolute truth, Brahman, is the source of everything. And then it describes his nature, Anandamoy Vyasat. That means he's full of Anand. He's unlimited and full of Anand. So there's no question of somebody who's unlimited in potency and full of unlimited Anand being bothered by the ants and molecules and the atheists and the Mayavadis. But out of his mercy, he enters into Leela. Therefore he comes down, manifests within the material universe with his devotees to attract the souls to a better condition, attract them to bhakti. So this is being discussed here. Krishna's transcendental position is there. The beginning of the chapter starts with the question by Yudhisthira Maharaj to Sukadeva Goswami. It says, why is Krishna, if he is so aloof and transcendental, why is he favoring Indra and not the enemies of Indra? Why is he helping Indra and killing the enemies? Well, he is displaying one aspect, is that if you become his devotee like Indra is a great devotee, no doubt, then you will get a different result from being an enemy of Krishna. So this is a very important point. Yes, the result will be that you become linked with Krishna, but the result will be different. What's that verse in the Yena Tena Prakarena Mana Krishna Niveshanat Sarva Vidi Nivesha Sur Etayo Eva Kinkara. Somehow or other, one way or another, fix your consciousness, Mana, Krishna, in Krishna. All the rules and regulations, we have so many rules and regulations in Vaidhi Bhakti, they are servants, kinkara, of this principle. So we should understand the essence. We shouldn't be distracted by the detail. The essence is that we want to fix the consciousness. But then secondary to that is we want to fix the consciousness in bhakti. So Bhakti Vinod, in that 21st chapter, Jaiva Dharma, he explains there's three basic favorable ways. Kama Rupa Bhakti, practiced by those in Madhurya Ras, in Golok, and also manifest here in Gokul. And then there's Sambandha Rupa Bhakti. That means the relatives of Krishna or the Vrajavasis. And then there is Vaidhi Bhakti. So the gopis are the personalities explaining Kamarupa Bhakti, and the Vrajavasis, headed by Nanda Yashoda, they're explaining Vatsalya or Sambandha Rup. Sambandha means relationship. They feel, oh, he's the local hero, Krishna, he's the son of Nanda Maharaj. He's our relative. We're all Vrajavasis, we're all living in Braj. He's our friend, he's our hero. We're related to him. He's our village man. So then there's bhakti. That is exemplified by Narada Muni. You all know the story in the first canto. He followed sadhana bhakti after getting the mercy of the Bhaktivedantas. He took their prasad by their permission. And then he became meditating, and then eventually he got darshan from Krishna. So those are three favorable ways. And then there is also bhaya and krodha. Krodha means anger or envy. Bhaya means fear. It's also mentioned here, actually. And so bhaya is like Kamsa. Kamsa, on the day of the marriage of his sister, Devaki, the Kashvani said, Kamsa, you're such a fool. The eighth child of your sister, which will be born after this marriage, will kill you. So he was ready to kill. He was ready to kill. That goes to show what Rakshasas are like. They're ready to kill their sister on the marriage day. Anyway, for their own survival. They'll destroy the whole universe to stay alive. We should remember that. That's why, anyway, we won't get into that subject. But, so that is, he was always meditating on, oh, Krishna. He was looking in the mirror and he would only see Krishna. Or he would see death. Kalosmi aham, mrityu sarva haraschaham. I am time and I am bringing mrityu, all devouring death, universal form. In Golok, Krishna reciprocates everyone in a Ras Leela. In the material universe, through the Virat Rupa, the universal form, he reciprocates in the form of death and time. So anyway, so Kamsa was fearful, but then Shishupal was full of enmity. Because what is the basic, this is called Tamishra. It is the basic covering of, root of material covering. Tamishra means anger, rebellion. So the materially conditioned souls, stuck in Tamagun, they have a rebellious attitude to the Supreme Lord's supremacy particularly. He's supreme, why not me? I'll go into the material world and then I'll enjoy being the controller. the proprietor, the enjoyer. Why should I be a servitor when I can be a proprietor? So Krishna creates the secondary lower material energy so they can have the illusion of being proprietor instead of servitor in the ecstatic condition of transcendence. That is his maya, his mercy. So then there is another one mentioned in the Brahma Samhita and also later on, and that is moha. And also in Parakita Ras Satradushtini, verse 27, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, he explains that those that have the wrong Siddhanta, they're not performing. It's called, he terms it Ku Siddhanta. If you are under Ku Siddhanta, you're not performing bhakti. So there's many so-called man-made religious systems, and they have a wrongful idea of the Supreme Lord. He's a guy with a beard and a big book and a bad temper, and he's destroying cities, and he wants you to mutilate your male children, or he wants you to conquer the world. But if God is actually God, he's already got control of every atom and molecule. He doesn't need a load of lunatics blowing up the world so that he can conquer it. He's already in supreme control. And then they think, oh, this God, he is dying on with a few nails given by a few Roman centurions. God is dying. So this is all Kusiddhanta. Those without knowledge, what does Prabhupada, he gave that phrase? Religion without knowledge is fanaticism. Because you can't actually satisfy the intellect with such crazy ideas, so then you have to become fanatical and prove, or blind faith, that you are a great adherent, a great spiritualist, a great devotee of God. And that means you're ready to kill and maim and cause mayhem. This is moha. And also in the moha illusion, the type is the idea that beyond the Supreme Lord there is a big field of Brahman energy, and then maybe beyond that there's a void or something. Void is nirvisesha sunyavadi. So this is all Kusiddhanta, this is all moha, worshipping some idea of the Supreme, but fallacious idea. So you can't make progress in that way. And attachment to those fallacious ideas shows actually an attraction to those, means that you have not actually cleared yourself of that rebellious envy. Because if you're pure in heart in your approach to the Supreme Lord, then you will, by His grace, realize His beautiful and merciful nature, and that will manifest in your personality. So this is the result of ignorance, fanaticism, but the root is envy. The material world, matsarya. Everyone is envious. Jivo jivasya jivanam. They're all eating one another. So this is not a fruitful way to approach the Supreme Lord, envy. But Yena tena prakarena mana Krishne. If you can somehow put your mind on Krishna, some idea of the Supreme Lord, at least you will be purified and make progress in some way. So this is the point that Prabhupada is expanding in the purport. This is a very important point. There also, now that I remember, there's also a very important sloka on these different ways to approach the Supreme Lord. Verse 55 in the Brahma Samhita. 56, 57 describes the environment of the spiritual world. In verse 55, after describing, starting verse 29, Chintamani prakara sadvasuko, then there's that sloka. Yam krodha kama sahaja pranayati bhiti vatsalya moha guru gaurava sevya bhavai sanchist Sanchincha tadrisim tanuma purete govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So I'll read the translation. It's also on the same subject. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, the meditators of whom, by meditating upon him under the sway of wrath, anger, amorous passion, that means kama-rupa bhakti, natural friendly love, that's also sneha. This can take two forms. It can be the friendly love of transcendence, but it can also mean the friendly love of the yadus, or those in relationship to Krishna on the material plane. But of course that is inferior to the Braja Janaranjana, because that is purely transcendental. But when the Lord appears in a certain family on the material plane, he appears in a dynasty, the Yadus, so they feel kinship. They feel some sambandha roop. But it is on the basis of a material relationship, temporary. And therefore Kunti Devi, in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, she says, she is understanding that this is a materialized sambandha rupa, and she prays to Krishna, Gange Vodam Udanvati, O Lord of the Yadus, please cut off my attachment to all these kinship, and even my own sons, the Pandavas. She's understanding that I want to have relationship with you in pure transcendence, soul to soul, not through the medium of the material dynasty within which I have appeared in relationship to you, family relationship. So Gangavodam Udanvati. And this is very significant how she ends that verse. She says, just like the Ganga always flows to the sea, overcoming all obstacles. So she's hinting there, indicating that this family relationship, sons, brothers, uncles, on all this, even if it's a great dynasty of great piety, this is an obstacle to actual realization of Krishna soul to soul. So that is why Kunti Devi, you can read this in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita first section, is considered more advanced than the Pandavas. But then more advanced than her is Uddhava. But that's a whole discussion. So this is important. It says here, natural friendly love. So this is also in the song we sing before each class. This is Sambandha Roop Bhakti, and also Kama Roop Bhakti is given. Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari. So this is Kama Bhakti. Gopi Jana Balaba, Kama Roop Bhakti. Braja Jana Ranjana, we sing. So Braja Jana Ranjana means Sambandha Roop. Like I said before, that relationship to Krishna is Sambandha Roop Bhakti. They see Krishna as the local hero, the son of Nanda Maharaj, and we're all kinship. We're all in the eternal Golok, in Vrindavan, in Brajadam. So that is pure Sambandha, transcendental Sambandha Roop, but the affection, natural friendly love of the Yadus is on a lower plane because it's manifest through material family lineage. Do you understand? Clear? Then Brajajana Ranjana, and it says Yashoda Nandan. So Mother Yashoda is the leader of Sambandha Roop Bhakti. And Jaya Radha Madhava, Radhe of course, is the leader of Kama Roop Bhakti. Yashoda Nandana, Brajajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari. So that Supreme Lord who enjoys Kama Roop Bhakti and Sambandha Roop Bhakti in Vraj, he enjoys pastimes in the groves and on the banks of the Jamuna. So that is Nitya Leela, transcendental. Of course it manifests here in Gokul, but that is entirely transcendental, and that is the highest. And so actually that's why here the point is being made by Sukadeva Goswami, clarified on the question of Yudhisthira Maharaj, that this Supreme Lord everyone is talking about is entirely transcendental. But he's coming down within the material sphere for his Leela, to enliven the devotees, destroy the demoniac, re-establish Dharma. So this is a very important point. So it is leading to that understanding that is fully elucidated in the 10th canto, that the Supreme Lord's Leela, Kamarup and Sambandharup is entirely transcendental, and that Leela is the source of all the relationships in the material world. So, natural friendly love. Fear, Kamsa. Parental affection, Sambandharup Bhakti. Delusion, Moha. Reverence, that is Vaidhi Bhakti. You approach Krishna through Vaidhi at the beginning, through rules and regulations. Yes. So we're conditioned soul. So we approach Krishna in awe and reverence, like Lakshmi Narayan. We don't try to affect emotions, Braj emotion, from the conditioned plane. We try to come to the purified platform by performing sadhana bhakti. Sadhana bhakti is in two divisions. Vaidhi, that makes everything nice, purified. And then within that we want to develop rag. Rag means attraction. Then that will develop to rati, bhava bhakti, and then prem. So it's very important to understand that. This is what Rupa Goswami says in the Nectar of Instruction. He says, niyamagraha. He says if you follow rules and regulations without understanding the purpose, that means to develop rag in Braj, the mood of the Brajabasis, Raganuga Bhakti, following in the footsteps of the Brajabasis. If you just follow rules and regulations, then that is not the aim. Just putting on tilak, going to Mangalarti, mechanically chanting your rounds, doing what you're told, but your mind is flying here and there. That is not going to take you to Braj. It may take you to Haridam, but we don't want to go to Haridam. Even though Lakshmi Narayan is there, we can go for a visit. But we want to go to Golok. So that means you must cultivate rag. And that's why Mahaprabhu is Namo Mahavadanyaya, because he particularly emphasized Rag Bhakti rather than just Vaidhi Bhakti. He gave that access to the Vraj Ras. That's why he's the most merciful incarnation. So it is very important to import that. Niyamagraha also means to not follow rules and regulations, right? To not follow regulative principles, to not fight anathas, to not be steady in your service, or at least striving for steadiness, for not applying yourself properly to the process. That's also niyamagraha. So Vaidhi Bhakti is very important. The Acharya for that in the 6 Goswamis is Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and he wrote the Hari Bhakti Vilas with Sanatana Goswami for that purpose. Delusion, yes, we already discussed that. If you have a deluded idea, moha, of the Supreme and the process of bhakti, then you're not performing bhakti. You have to do it scientifically. and willing service, that means rag bhakti, attain to bodily forms befitting the nature of their contemplation. So I'll read the purport. Oh, I don't know if we have time. Is that 9 o'clock? Yeah? It's a shame. Anyway, I advise you to read the purport, verse 55 in the Brahma Samhita, because it's really wonderful. This is a translation and expansion of the commentary of Jiva Goswami by Professor Sangal. He was a disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, and then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta edited that expansion and translation of Jiva Goswami's commentary. Also, Professor Sangali wrote a great book, Sri Chaitanya's Teachings, Part 1. He didn't get to Part 2. If you can get hold of that book, it also explains all the esoteric aspects of Chaitanya Leela. But read this purport if you can. Very important book. I'll read you something from verse 28 in the purport. It'll inspire you to study the Brahma Samhita. Let's see. Yes. All the truths of the Vedas were revealed to him. This is Lord Brahma on the lotus flower after performing tapa. Human life means tapa, voluntary control of the senses. All the truths of the Vedas were revealed to him, and with the help of those essences of the Veda, he offered this hymn, the 5th chapter of Brahma Samhita, to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Sriman Mahaprabhu has taught this hymn, listen to this, to his favorite disciples. So if you study this, you'll be in that category. Inasmuch as it fully contains all the transcendental truths regarding Vaishnava philosophy. Readers are requested to study and try to enter into the spirit of this hymn with great care and attention as a regular daily function. So we're doing that, right? Prabhupada arranged greeting of the deities, right? Vainam kambantam aravinda dalaya taksham. So, read the Brahma Samhita. This is the 5th chapter. Lord Chaitanya found it in Adikeshava in Trivandrum, right? There's actually 100 chapters, but we only have the 5th. Can you imagine if we had the 100? My God, how wonderful that would be. Maybe it's still there in some temple in South India, waiting to be discovered. Okay, we'll finish on that point. Srila Prabhupada Brahma Samhita Srimad Bhagavatam Sadhu Sangha Ki Jai. Any questions? Yes, go ahead.
Please would you mind telling once again?
The whole class?
You were talking about the kind of devotional service you do, that is what decides where you will go to. Where can I find this?
What? Where can you find what? At the beginning when I said there's 5. Sambandha Rup, Kama Rup, Bhakti, Fear, and that's chapter 21, Jaiva Dharma, Bhakti Vinod's book. You can get Jaiva Dharma there, 750 rupees, something like that.
Can you please say the whole title?
Jaiva Dharma.
Thank you so much.
Prabhupada said this very important book. He said that in London in 1969 on the appearance day of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And we're very fortunate that our BBT man in charge is maintaining it in print. And you can get it here at the store. And if you read that book every day, you're bound to go back to Godhead. My guarantee. Also Bhakti Vinod, in the Falshruti, he says that. So I can guarantee what he says. And in fact, everything will be guaranteed. No need for me to guarantee. His guarantee is enough. He says that those that don't read that book, they lack devotional credit. But if you read it, you'll get unlimited devotional credit. And you'll attain Krishna Prem very easily. chapter 21.
Thank you.
Right? What is that right? 750? You can get maybe a discount, bargain with him. This is India after all. Any other question? Any other question? Statements? Yes, please.
Thank you for the nice lecture, Guruji. It says, when you're reading, it says that Hiranyakashipu got purified because Hiranyakashipu got purified because he was thinking of Prahlad Maharaj.
Who?
Hiranyakashipu.
Who was fine?
He was purified.
Who? Hiranyakashipu, because he was thinking of Prahlad Maharaj. No, he wasn't. He was thinking of killing Krishna. He was angry with Prahlad Maharaj.
When you read, it says,
Where?
Yeah, it said that he got purified by thinking of Prahlad. He was thinking how to kill Prahlad.
Yes.
So how come even thinking of a devotee, thinking of Krishna unfavorably, we can get mukti, but now thinking to destroy or kill a devotee?
Well, devotee, a liberated soul, is non-different in essence from Krishna. He is Uttama. He is above material conditioning. He is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. He is united with Krishna. So, therefore, he's non-different in that sense, Achincha Beda Bed. He's on the same transcendental platform. So if you think of the Supreme Lord or his Uttama Mahabhagavat devotee, your mind is somehow or other fixing on transcendence. So therefore you become purified. But of course that is like the whole purport today, I'm sure you picked up. Prabhupada was very elaborate, giving many quotations, that we should be very careful to think, therefore we'll just become angry and become a Rakshasa making trouble for devotees. We shouldn't think like that, because we'll get a different result. That's why I try to explain. You understand? It's a very important point. The result will be the same. In the verse here, means you'll become purified of material contamination. You'll be directed towards the Supreme Lord. Even those that worship the Supreme Lord in a man-made religion, their mind is somehow or other going to some conception of the Supreme. They may be in the beginning thinking, my tribal deity is better than your tribal deity. They may be on this tamasic platform. But because they're thinking that there's some Supreme, by grace of the Supreme, they will get a conception that the Supreme is not just a tribal deity that I should conquer the world on behalf of, but he's actually a Supreme. And therefore he's supreme over every atom and molecule, every living entity. So all I should do is become his servant, rather than some perverted idea of political expansion. You see? They'll become purified eventually, hopefully. But Pashandi, in the Vedas, Pashandi means atheist. So an atheist, Pashandi, that's the definition in the Vedas of an atheist. Pashandi means somebody who doesn't accept the Vedic conclusion, who's inimical to the Vedic conclusion. He thinks, oh, I don't like that idea, all that stuff in the Vedas. I've got my own idea. Even though he may be pretending to worship the Supreme, he's still Pashandi. He's still atheistic. Because, just like Lord Nityananda, he became very angry in South India. He came upon the Buddhists. They were meditating in the void, on the void. You can't meditate on the void because it doesn't exist in the first place. But anyway, they were Sunyavadis. So Lord Nityananda kicked them on the head. And he chased them out of the forest and they ran away. So, if you have a misconception, you will attract, perhaps, the grace of the Lord after some time. But that is not the process. Better, Guru Ashraya, right, in the Nectar of Devotion. You should always take shelter of Shiksha Guru, realized devotee, who can guide you in the proper way of approaching Krishna. Right? Like if you wander around India, eventually you may find Rameshwaram, for example. But it's better to go to somebody who knows India, who has a map, and who can show you. If you want to go to Rameshwar, don't just wander willy-nilly all over the place, hoping that one day you will find Rameshwaram. Better to go to a guide. So, there's Rameshwaram, you go down there. Catch a train or a cheap flight, book on the internet. So, you get the point. So, without Guru, people have man-made conceptions and illusory ideas. But because they're trying to find the Absolute or some conception of the Supreme, they're there. But if you want to change from being Kanishta-adhikari to Madhyama-adhikari, which is the real platform of beginning devotion, then you must learn Sambandha Gyan. You must learn Siddhanta. So the first job of Guru is to give Siddhanta to the Shishya. Then he becomes liberated. Om Jnana Timarandasya. And then, when he's on the liberated platform, he can get revelation and understanding from Shastra and Chaitya Guru and proceed very speedily. So that is the mercy of the Acharyas. They write so many purports, they create so many books, all to catch and give the conditioned soul the right guidance. So we shouldn't speculate, exercise the mind in that way. We should, especially at the beginning stages of devotional service, we should contemplate and exercise the mind and intelligence on the conclusions given by the great Acharya. Just like it says here in the translation, the result is the same. So, but now because we're listening to the Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, we know what that means. But if we don't listen to the Acharya, we just think, you can hate Krishna and be a drunkard, and you'll still go to Golok. You understand? You'll speculate on the conclusion. So I hear many things, to be frank, many apasiddhanta. So that's slowing your progress. So the most important thing is Gyan, Bhakti Gyan, Siddhanta, Sambandha Gyan, Dashamula. Therefore, Mataji, you've got the right idea. You study the words of the Acharya, and then very quickly you make progress. Just like if you have a guide, you can go all over India without any problem. But if you want to speculate, where is Dwarka, you may spend lifetimes searching for it. Clear, right? What is the difficulty? We just take shelter of Acharya and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you all very much. Jai Radhe, Jai Vrindavan Dham, Jai Sadhu Sangha, Ki Jai.